Hey everybody, it's me, Psych Life. Don't get confused. I left my shirt at home today, unfortunately, but the information, thank goodness, stays the same no matter what shirt I'm wearing. And I also would like to apologize for not posting that much this week on my social medias. I've been very busy, but let's get to the subject, shall we? Today, I wanted to do a quick. I don't even know what I would call what we do here. I guess every time I come up, I guess I just say I want to share some knowledge with you guys. So today I wanted to focus on the multiple intelligence theory by Howard Gardner. Howard Gardner is an American psychologist who presented the multiple intelligence theory. And some of you guys, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the theory, might ask, why is that theory so important, or why are you talking about it today? Well, this theory was one of my favorite theories when I was my first couple years in college. And it's because it doesn't try and fit everybody into a box and actually expresses the individual differences people have. So let's talk a little bit about Howard Gardner and what he represented to the field. So this theory was technically supposed to be implemented for the education system. Over here in the United States, I don't know where everybody else is tuning in from, we tend to have a system where we emphasize math and English a lot. Those are actually the core classes. If we were to judge everybody off those two courses, then we would assume that everybody is logically smart and also linguistically smart. But that's not always the case, is it? A lot of times people may not be so logical or linguistic, but they may have great people skills or interpersonal skills where they know about themselves and what gets them going. Maybe the best way for them to learn is through nature. It's not always going to be the same for everybody. And that's what makes Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence so cool. So let's look at some of the facts I wrote down that I thought would be interesting for you guys. During the 1960s, when the behaviorists really took off, and if you guys have seen some of my videos, you guys have heard me talk about it during that time, how the behaviorist was a big thing. During that time in the 1960s, everybody viewed IQ and intelligence under a single entity. It was basically hereditary, and it came from within. It was one type of intelligence. They tried fitting all these into one box. Well, according to research today, and many researchers and psychologists, there's multiple intelligence. There's obviously more theories than these. This is just one intelligence theory. There's so many of them, but I'm gonna focus on this one because this tends to be, I'm biased, kind of my favorite. Researchers, like I said, believe that intelligence isn't under one single entity, but under various dimensions, like Howard Gardner's. He also, what makes Howard Gardner's theory so cool also is that he challenges Piaget's theory. As you guys know, in Piaget's theory of cognitive development, she tries and puts everything into stages. And Howard Gardner challenges that by saying, hey, if a child is learning how to think abstractly, her intelligence might be high at that moment. Her intelligence might be high logically, a child's intelligence might be high logically, but it can lack in music and nature and spatial, which is pictures and drawings and whatnot. So it made psychologists rethink the way to view cognitive development. It's not so much as, oh, the child's in this stage. It's more as, okay, the child is in this stage, but there's many different types of intelligence operating within that child. They might be good at math, they might be good at reading, but they're not good at bodily kinetics, they're not athletic. So intelligence levels can vary within a single stage in Piaget's theory. So Howard Gardner challenged that. He definitely challenged Piaget's theory, which is good because it's always good to view things from a different perspective. So another cool thing about Howard Gardner's theory is that he takes into account genetic and cultural implications when determining intelligence. Some cultures emphasize certain intelligence over others. I'll give you an example. Asian cultures, and not all Asian cultures, but certain Asian cultures really emphasize numbers. They emphasize numbers, they emphasize analytics, they emphasize facts, while other cultures, such as mine, doesn't really emphasize too much mathematics. But that doesn't mean that's not the end of be all. Just like in my versus nature, you can have an heredity or genetic component that makes you naturally gifted in one of these intelligence, but maybe lacking in another. So like I said, Howard Gardner takes into account culture and genetics. It's very important. All theories should actually take that into account. So what's one of the cool things about Howard Gardner's theory? Another cool thing about his theory is that, like I said, he focused this theory looking at it through the paradigm of education. And what does that mean? He believed that teachers, instead of just teaching a one way so all the students learn, they should be able to be diverse and understand that students learn differently. So if a teacher's teaching a history class about the Declaration of Independence, maybe they can have a little section where the people are actually involved and you have people acting out and role playing. Or you have another section where people are reading about it, another section where people are looking at it through music. They're making a song about it, other people are drawing pictures. So there's different ways to learn. And once a teacher can incorporate all these various ways to learn, then a child can concentrate on their strengths and learn through that lens. Well, society's still evolving, and we haven't really gotten to that stage yet, but it's good to understand that we all learn differently. We're not all robots. And let's keep going here. So what's one of the cool things about each one? I'll start off with linguistics. So what's so cool about learning through linguistics? It's basically you learn through writing, you learn through poetry, you learn through expression, you have an easy talent to learn languages. Someone that speaks maybe 3 or 4 languages can be viewed as having a higher linguistic intelligence than someone who maybe speaks 1. Not because they're genetically more gifted, but maybe they just focused on that aspect a lot. So what comes out of this? What professions can come out of being having a strong linguistic intelligence? Name a few: writers, poets, and these paradigms cross. Writers, poets, lawyers, because if you're a lawyer, you got to read the law a lot. You have to. I mean, you're doing it for your clients. And speakers, politicians, they tend to be very good speakers. So those that fall in the linguistic realm, they tend to learn through words, through the verbal or cognitive tool of language. Okay, so let's now talk about logical/mathematical. Our school system here in the US, like I said before, focuses heavily on linguistic and logic skills. And those are important components of life. But it's important to understand that there has to be, that all the intelligence are important, not just one. If we were to focus on logic, math, learning how to think deductively, Howard Gardner emphasized that, and inductively as well. So what type of professionals come out of the logical/mathematical intelligence if they have strong logical intelligence? Well, we have math teachers, we also have accountants, we also have bankers, those positions within a bank. Here we have body smart. Some people learn as they move because the mind and the physical are intertwined. Even Howard Gardner believed that. So we can put here a perfect example of someone who would be considered, who would be considered a genius when it comes to bodily kinesthetics. Who would be considered a genius? Leonardo Messi, the famous soccer player. LeBron James, the famous basketball players. Monsters. Monsters are what they do physically. Even professional athletes. To be in the NBA, for example, I think the statistics it's crazy. It's like 1 out of a million or something. So this is also a type of intelligence that many people don't take into account. Picture smart. Maybe I'm not good with words. Maybe I'm good at drawing. And maybe I can't read so well and depict what happened in my mind back during the when the Declaration of Independence was signed or the Constitution was made, but I can draw it and I can learn through drawing. That's a different part of the brain that's activated. Music. Maybe someone's not good. We have those musicians, they tend to have a very high intelligence in the musical department. I would say personally there are musical geniuses. Beethoven's for one, and many artists today are musical geniuses. These are my 2 favorite that I wanted to really emphasize. Oh yeah, and of course nature smart. Those that are intertwined with the life, the 1-cell pulse of the world, the trees. Those that are naturally gifted at maybe going outdoors and learning, forming connections and patterns through nature, through observation of the natural. Okay, interpersonal and intrapersonal. Those are my 2 favorite. These are both essential for those that want to be educators, social workers, counselors. What else? Shoot me one. Well, obviously there's no one there. Social educators, social worker, counselors, CEOs. A lot of times, not all the time, but they tend to be very self-smart. Politicians oftentimes tend to be people smart as well. Business owners. And the list goes on and on. So let's look at first interpersonal. Like I said before, this theory is cool because it tends to view intelligence through many categories, many dimensions, instead of just viewing it as a single entity like Piaget does maybe, or the school system does it, or is catered to. Let's say the school system is catered to. Interpersonal intelligence. People smart. Understanding what's socially accepted in the situation, what's not socially accepted, what culture you're in, because social rules change when you travel across cultures and ethnicities and socioeconomic statuses. Within cultures, there's smaller cultures. Just the socioeconomic status of each individual a lot of times allows for different events to be perceived differently. To be a very good counselor, you have to have interpersonal skills. Why? Because you have to talk to case managers, you have to talk to families to form family therapy, you have to form therapeutic relationships with your clients, you have to talk to judges, form those relationships, because that's the reality of the situation. Lawyers. So almost actually in the westernized culture like the US and Europe, extroverts tend to be viewed as people smart because they tend to be outgoing. So interpersonal intelligence, that's important. Intrapersonal. Why would it be smart to know about yourself? And how would that be developed? Being mindful of yourself, knowing you're noting your unconscious fears, what motivates you, what makes you strive. That's intrapersonal, knowing who you are, what triggers you, what ticks you off. So you avoid those situations when they're presented. Or, hey, I've struggled with substance abuse before, let me not put myself in a situation where that's presented in front of me. These 2 are so important. And for the recovery, a lot of times, therapists and counselors like myself have to work on clients on this very intelligence right here, which is that clients understanding themselves. It's so essential. It's so essential for growth. How many times has a client come to me and not known who they are, where they want to go, because they've been avoiding those questions. And as a counselor, I engage with them so they develop a sense of, they find those answers for themselves. I don't give it to them, they find it for themselves. This intelligence is so cool and awesome, because I hope the school system does a better job of implementing this theory into what they do as a whole within the public education system. So many students a lot of times are left out because maybe they have a strong spiral and bodily kinetic and kinetistic intelligence, and they lack in the others. But how oftentimes do these get, what is this, art? You can probably expose your intelligence here in art class, and maybe here in PE, physical education, but they can't really teach math with exercise, or they can, but the school system hasn't evolved to that level. So let me make sure I have everything covered that I wanted to go over here, guys. Also, what happens if a child realizes their strong suit when it comes to the multiple intelligence theory? What happens if a child at an early age realizes, hey, I'm linguistically and logically smart? They start getting confidence and they want to engage in what their strengths are at. Same thing with those that fall under these two, spiral and bodily kinesthetic. So oftentimes people may be highly intellectual in these two dimensions, but not in the other ones. If we were to find out in the education system that a child has strengths in both these dimensions, then maybe it's the teacher can use that knowledge and apply it in the classroom and maybe make exceptions for that student. Not saying that's right or wrong, I'm just saying the possibilities that we can explore to better the education system using this theory. So, well, that's me for today, guys. I'm sorry I don't have the Psych Life shirt, but I promise I won't forget it at home next time. And excuse me for not posting again a lot this week, but I hope that you guys really enjoy these videos that I do, okay? See ya.